Okay, now let's talk about 0 as an exponent. In order to talk about 0 as an exponent, let's think about what that means. So in our previous problem, in the previous video, we ended up with 10 to the 7th power and dividing it by 10 to the 7th power, and I told you that that would equal 1. So I want to explain to you why it would equal 1. We know it's going to become 10 to the 0 power because my rule for dividing exponents, dividing powers, when the bases are the same, is you subtract their exponents. So 7 minus 7 is 0, so therefore we get 10 to the 0 power. Okay. So let's consider, and I told you in the last video that that's going to equal 1. Let me show you why it equals 1. Let's break this down here. Let's spread this out and let's do 10 to the 7th. Let's write it out. So 10 to the 7th means 10 times 10 times 10. I gotta go 7 times, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It means I'm doing 7 tens here on the top. That's what 10 to the 7 means. 10 multiplied by 10 7 times. And then on the bottom, I need to do the same thing. 10 multiplied by 10 7 times. Okay. Now I could simplify this by going, okay, well, I can divide 10 and 10 and get 1, right? And 10 and 10 and get 1, and 10 and 10 can simplify to the 1 over the 1. 10 and 10 simplifies to 1 over 1. 10 and 10 simplifies to 1 over 1, and so on and so forth. So all of these, I can simplify them down to 1 over 1, and then 1 times 1 times 1 times 7 ones, it's just going to equal 1, and 7 ones multiplied is going to equal 1. And so that is why a 0 exponent equals 1. And it works that way whether you're working with negatives or positives. So let's look at, for example, we'll call this problem number 1. Let's look at if we have negative 8 to the 0 power. So that is also going to equal 1. Okay? And it's going to equal 1 for the same reason. Let's look at what this would be. Let's say we had negative 8. I won't make it as big. Let's make it negative 8 squared. Negative 8 squared and negative 8 squared. Well, if we wrote this out, we would have negative 8 times negative 8 divided by negative 8 times negative 8. And then if we were to simplify here, negative 8 over negative 8 is going to give you a positive 1 whole, because negative 8 divided by negative 8 would be positive 1. And then negative 8 divided by negative 8 would give you a positive 1. And 1 times 1 over 1 times 1 gets you to 1 over 1, which is 1. So even when the number is negative, as long as it's in parentheses like that, these with 0 as an exponent, it's going to equal 1. Now where it's going to look a little different is if we have a number that we are multiplying that 0 exponent by. All right, so if we had, let's say, 3 times m to the 0 power, okay? What that's going to be is we know that any 0 exponent equals 1, okay? Any number with 0 as an exponent equals 1. That'd probably be good for us to include over here. Any number 0 as an exponent equals 1. All right, well, if that's the case, it doesn't matter if it has a variable in front of it. It doesn't matter what the value of m is. Any value of m, since it's to the 0 power, it's going to equal 1. So 3 times m to the 0 power is going to give us 3 times 1, which would be 3. So you can't just leave it as 1 because you still have to multiply. This says 3 times m to the 0 power. You are only making m to the 0 power. In order for it to be 3m to the 0 power, remember, it would have to look like this. This would tell us that it's doing the whole 3m to the 0 power. This right here means 3 times m to the 0 power. All right, so I want you to go ahead and pause the video and give a few of these a try. Let's do I should write it in this would equal 1. And number 6. Let's do this one. So go ahead and pause the video and solve these 3 and then restart to check your work. Okay. So negative 9 to the 0 power. So we have it's in parentheses, and so it's this entire number to the 0 power. So my answer is 1. This one, it's the entire number is to the 0 power, so that's also going to equal 1. These two are not the same. Remember, what this means is 2 times r to the 0 power. So that would be 2 times 1, which is going to be an answer of 2. So you should have had 1, 1, and 2 for your answers.